Well, good evening, everyone, and what a blessing to see you all in person and to welcome you back to John and Alice Butler Hall. I'd also like to offer a warm welcome to those who are joining us virtually this evening. Now, I do have to mention, I think it's been a while since we've all been together, and the reason for that is I was telling my team we've had more inquiries about what to wear than what time to arrive. But tonight is truly an evening of dedication and celebration. In particular, we are grateful to each and every one of you for your investments in this place and in this mission. We are also grateful to the couple who made this evening possible, John and Alice Butler. Their involvement with the university began almost 40 years ago, and they have quietly helped to make opportunities possible for countless students. As I was reflecting on John and Alice's involvement at the university, and in particular John's service as a member of our Board of Trustees and chair of the investment committee, I came across a quote by Ben Franklin, and that is, "An investment in knowledge always pays the highest returns." Thank you, John and Alice, for leading by example. Your investments in UD students is yielding a high rate of returns. As we continue the festivities, it's my pleasure to introduce another couple who have helped make this evening possible. Please join me in welcoming Joe and Linda Calapity as they offer some special recognitions.
I didn't want to be confused, but I've got my own writing and they have one here too, so I'll have to figure out which is the right one. Thank you, Melissa. This is an exciting evening for the University of Dubuque as we formally introduce the much anticipated Opus 97 pipe organ and celebrate the contributions of John and Alice Butler as second century founders. Now, we just got back from a dinner with some colleagues that came from Columbus, Ohio, I shouldn't say participate, but enjoy this evening's event as we have the Columbus Symphony here. And we had them yesterday out at Walter Woodson Farm, and it was just a miraculous, beautiful evening. And then we had a May Oktoberfest at Brightbox, and you can imagine how that went. You know, and someone had mentioned to me, and I noted, if you remember, most of you perhaps don't remember, but you know, the movie Field of Dreams was filmed in Dyersville, about 20 miles away. And I don't think some of my colleagues in the symphony or from Columbus realize that there is a scene where Kevin Costner, you know, plays Ray Kinsella, is coming out of a library. That's on the Dubuque campus here. But the line that struck me the most was when Shoeless Joe Jackson comes out of the cornfield onto the beautiful field, and he says to Ray, he says, "Ray, is this heaven?" And Ray says, "No, this is Iowa." When the Heritage Center was in the development stage, a goal was to eventually house a pipe organ in the performance hall. At that time, we did not have funding, but we incorporated specifically designed space to accommodate the eventual installation of an organ. Through the generosity of John and Alice Butler, this dream has come to fruition. After lengthy discussion and analysis, it was decided that Dobson Pipe Organ Builders be selected to construct the organ. Dobson is located in Lake City, Iowa, and has an international reputation for the construction and installation of these unique instruments. The organ here in Butler Hall is named Opus 97, and it represents the 97th new organ built by that firm. Construction of the organ began in November 2018 and was completed 20 months later in July 2020. I hesitate to call the Dobson facility a factory, but prefer to call it a workshop of artisans who handcraft the unique instruments. Linda, the Butlers, various people from UD, and I had the opportunity to visit the Dobson facility several times. The detail, work, and craftsmanship are amazing. The organ has 3,033 pipes and weighs 21 tons. The largest pipe is 32 feet long, with the smallest pipe the half size of a pencil. The majority of the pipes are not visible, but are located in several areas throughout the hall. The largest wood pipe weighs 750 pounds. 20 Dobson craftsmen worked approximately 31,000 man-hours over the course of 20 months to build and install the organ. I would like to recognize the people from Dobson who are here tonight to experience this historical performance. Would you please stand? Also joining us this evening is the Columbus Symphony Orchestra. This is the third performance for the Symphony in the Heritage Center, including the gala in 2013 and a concert with Chris Botti in 2017. We are excited to have them join us again this evening. Most importantly, I want to personally recognize and graciously thank John and Alice Butler for their strong leadership and philanthropic support of the University of Dubuque over many years. Their unwavering commitment has been instrumental in the renaissance that has taken place at the University of Dubuque over the past 23 years. Linda and I extend our sincere gratitude for all that you, John, and Alice have done.
My husband is a hard act to follow, so I'll be very brief. I also want to extend my thank you to John and Alice for their vision for the Opus 97. This organ now makes Butler Hall complete, and we're all so excited to be hearing it tonight for the first time. It has been my privilege over the years to become friends with John and Alice. They are known to everyone as caring, warm, and generous supporters of UD and the Dubuque community. Thank you, John and Alice.
The Butler's contributions to this university are really hard to put into words because they've done so much.
When you look at John and Alice, think of all the wonderful things that they have done in the community, behind the scenes.
They see the potential in students. They see the potential that their investment can bring.
It's a very humbling experience to know that I'm a part of a community that shares their gifts and contributions with students.
And I think you guys have done more of an impact than you'll ever see in my life and those around me.
John and Alice are wonderful people. They're warm individuals, but I would say they're old school. I find it in this day and age very refreshing. John is always, you never hear John issuing a harsh word. You never hear him getting mad or angry or yelling. He's very proper, but firm in his convictions in his own way, and you know what he's feeling when he talks and when he speaks. This opening concert for the organ is really an unbelievably unique opportunity to pay homage and recognition to two people who have meant so much to each other, to their families, to this school, and to the community.
John and Alice Butler are are wonderful people. I've really enjoyed my time that I've been able to spend with them. One thing I really like about them is they're fascinated by the world around them and they want to learn as much as they can. For those of us who've been here close to 2 decades, you know, the change is just absolutely remarkable, and it wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been for investors who really deeply believed in what we were doing here and in the mission and in the possibilities. We're more concerned with, as we say, with how students leave us than how they come to us. You know, we want to really have them examine their calling in life and to discern what their gifts are and how to use those gifts to serve the greater world.
My name is Riley Sint. I am from Eldridge, Iowa, a little small community just north of the Quad Cities, and I am a pipe organ major here at the University of Dubuque. I mean, to sit at that key desk and the instrument in some cases is literally larger than some buildings. So just to be able to sit at that console and make that big of a sound, a sharp, shrill, joyful sound, it's just truly an incredible feeling. Well, it makes me feel very proud to be a part of a community that has that kind of support, and I do want to express my truest gratitude to all those who have bothered to put forth money so that kids like myself and others can have their dream education.
Oh, and the Butlers have been involved in our art and culture program for literally almost from the start. They have provided resources. Number one, general resources to help defray the cost just on a general basis. But number two, they have provided scholarship funds for students. And very much like the Butlers, they trusted us to manage it. By providing this art and culture series, this travel and educational series, it really helps fulfill the school's mission. Many students are about ready to graduate, and so they go on a trip like this. But they have a responsibility to keep learning and to keep giving back.
I'm Lydia Johnson, and I'm a digital art and design major. I just graduated this spring. The trip was a lot of being able to see those pieces that we learned about and just getting to see a lot of those in person, going to all these museums. It was amazing. But it was something I really wanted to do. Never thought I would do it, but the price was nothing compared to what you'd pay if you were going on your own. I'd like to be one of those alumni who would give back to the students so that they could do that kind of thing or fund a scholarship to even help them out a little bit, because I'm lucky enough to have gotten that opportunity.
What we were missing was a program that would benefit students who wanted to enter the workforce directly after graduation. And so that's where Butler comes into play. In the 2 years that I've been director of the program now, we've had students do philosophy-based projects. We've had students do teacher education type projects, K through 12 education type projects. So it's been quite varied. Yes, the Butlers are very generous in their support. The students get $4,500 for 10 weeks of research work. It's a substantial investment in the students by the Butlers. And that's part of our mission, is to prepare students for the world, to make the world a better place. And programs like the Butler Fellowship really go a long way to do that.
My name is Savannah Jones, and I'm from Dubuque, Iowa. I just graduated from the University of Dubuque in sociology and criminal justice. Yeah, so the scholarships have obviously given me an education, but most importantly, they have spoken to me that I can continue to do what I want to do even when it doesn't seem that I have the money to do so. And because I was able to obtain so much, financial benefits, I was able to continue with school. It's given me so much in terms of understanding who I am as a person and what I need to do to move forward. Kind of like you're saying, the tools necessary. I mean, you don't really learn research skills all the time in classrooms, but when you have the time to spend a whole summer acquiring skills that you have not learned before, that are so essential to your learning, I think that I've learned more about who I am and who I'm to become.
They will do things symbolically to encourage others to join them. But it's not in the aura of saying, look at me, look what we're doing.
And I tell you, I am so grateful that the Butlers have provided these resources.
And so I think one of the great gifts you can do is to invest in people. That's really what you're doing when you invest in the university. You're investing in people.
But truly, I think it comes down to the idea of Christian love and being, showing hospitality. I truly believe that for one to give, they have to have those two elements in their heart.
That was pretty good. Several years ago, we had the privilege of recognizing Joe and Linda Calapity as our first second century founders, as a way for the University of Dubuque to publicly thank and acknowledge those individuals who literally helped to refound the University of Dubuque in its second century of existence. The story of the university's struggles in the late 1990s has been well documented on our campus and throughout our community, and even in the wider landscape of higher education. As difficult as it may be to imagine now, the truth of the matter is that the right business decision may have been to close the university and end its mission at that period of our history. Thankfully, that didn't happen. Instead, with what we now know as the plan for transformation, a renewed mission facilitated an infectious kind of energy and purpose into this organization. Slowly, we began to attract faculty and staff colleagues across the university in every position who wanted to be a part of something new and special. And synergistically, with those new colleagues, we were blessed to have received the steady and, in a number of cases, breathtakingly philanthropic investments of those individuals we know today as second century founders. Without them, we would not be where we are today. And John and Alice Butler are two of those amazing individuals. Now, as some of you know, John and Alice have a way of making a first impression that we don't soon forget. I recall my first impression of John. It was my first board meeting as the new dean of our seminary. There were 4 deans at the time, and I vividly recall a section during that meeting when each dean was to report on enrollments for their respective area of responsibility. Thankfully, I was the last to report. And I recall that the news being reported by the other 3 deans was less than favorable. And let's face it, it's confession time. There is a tendency within higher education to sometimes want to dodge the direct, hard questions appropriately asked by our trustees. Well, the time rolled around for my turn, and it was pretty evident that there had been a lot of dodging going on. And it was at this point that, after having quizzed 3 other deans, Mr. Butler looked directly at me and asked, very properly, "Dr. Bullock, will our seminary be meeting its enrollments numbers this year?" "Yes," I responded. "Is that all you have to say?" asked Mr. Butler. "Well, unless there's another question, yes." And then John just laughed and said, "Well, okay then." What I learned early on from both John and Alice is that as people and supporters, they just want folks to be straight with them. They want to know about the mission. They want to know how their investments literally and demonstrably change lives. And more often than not, they want to know how they can help. The Butlers have been friends to Dana and me and to our family. They've welcomed us into their home as they continue to welcome many other new and young leaders into their community known as Dubuque, Iowa. The Butlers have been exemplars of doing things the right way, with style and a sense of decorum and decency, and doing them well. And as you've heard, the Butlers have been investors in the university and its mission. Yes, they've invested in ways known to the general public in places like John and Alice Butler Hall, our fitness facilities, seminary townhouses, this beautiful new pipe organ, and many other pieces of infrastructure. But they have done far more than the public knows through endowed scholarships with an extra emphasis on students from underrepresented populations. They've endowed student travel scholarships with an eye of trying to make it financially possible for every student who has the desire to travel overseas to have that enriching experience. They've endowed summer research fellowships that support students in their efforts to do research in their area of focus, prepare for graduate school examinations, and thereby begin paving the way for entrance into some of the most prestigious graduate programs in our country. That's the side of John and Alice that I have the privilege of knowing and loving and respecting, which is one of the many reasons why we're gathering here tonight to give thanks and to share our appreciation to each one of them, to each one of you, for all that you've done for us. So tonight, we're going to express our thanksgiving to the Butlers by giving 2 gifts. Now, what on earth can we give John and Alice Butler? Well, Melissa and her team are pretty smart, and they came up with, I think, a very creative idea. The first gift is an original piece of music commissioned for the university's music library by Iowa native composer Joanne Harris, which will debut this coming December at our Christmas at Heritage Center concert. It's a piece of music literature that appropriately incorporates elements of our organ, orchestra, and the university choir. The second gift is a piece of music which debuts this evening, and as you will see in your program, was written by our own Dr. Charles Barlin, professor of music and university organist. So without further ado, it's my privilege to introduce Professor Charles Barlin to perform his tribute to John and Alice, trumpet tune and aria. This isn't part of the script, but I can't resist sharing this. So, Dr. Marlin, Chuck, you've been with us, you're in 20 years. Close to 20 years. So when I interviewed Chuck 19 years ago, as we had this conversation, he said to me just before he left, he said, "Now, Dr. Bullock, can you promise me the university will have a pipe organ someday?" Now, this is, I didn't know how we were going to pay him. But I said, sure, well, we wanted it, sure, we'll find a way. And the truth of the matter is, and I don't know if Chuck knows this, the first couple of years he was with us, our alums, led by Alan, Marcy Stratemeyer, through their relationship with other music choir members during their time as students here, raised the money to help pay for Chuck's salary. So I am so grateful that we have Chuck with us, and I'm glad you've been patient so we could meet the promise. And John and Alice, thank you for helping me keep that promise. So Chuck, thank you. Mr. Butler, would you like to join me upstage? On stage, please. I think it's quite all right that we show our appreciation to John and Alice.
Well, thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you all for being here this evening. And Alice and I are most appreciative, and we're particularly happy to be joining Joe and Linda Calapity as second century founders of the university. We're delighted to be here and to celebrate the lovely Dobson organ with the University of Dubuque and with each of you. You know, Alice and I have long admired UD's role and contribution to Dubuque and to our youth over a very wide area. I think I first joined the board, I'm not even sure, but I think it was in the late 1970s. And of course, we've had lots of great adventures ever since then. Alice and I always thought that it would be pleasing to leave the world a little bit better than we found it. And that can be a great challenge, by the way. But UD plays a fine role in making the world a better place. Many young people who come here, still often as the first person in their families to attend college, get valuable training on how to best live a life and contribute to a better society. What could be more important? We have clear memories over a lot of years of UD's strong supporters over the years. Dr. Paul Lobby was very active when I think he probably got us involved. Wayne Norman, John Law, the Cassett family, all provided great leadership to the University of Dubuque many years ago. And I can't help but think once in a while about how enormously proud they would be of their progress here. Our campus has never looked better. Our enrollment grows well, and our endowment is progressing toward its critical, necessary future levels. The UD excels in its achievements in the world of private colleges, and as well as public colleges and universities. Many colleges are having kind of a depression nowadays, and the University of Dubuque is just doing splendidly. Of course, we have a great leader, that helps. So Alice and I fervently wish the University of Dubuque continuous, marvelous growth in training our young people to lead successful lives and their efforts to improve our society. We invite all to enthusiastically join this wonderful effort, which we call the University of Dubuque. Thank you.
It's a long trip. Thank you, John, and thank you, Alice. Now, I wish to remind all of you that there will be a brief intermission before the Columbus Symphony performance begins at 7:30, and that will then be followed by a reception in the Cyber Cafe and in Wallace Common, on Wallace Common. And a little background, the reception, of course, would be a natural extension of our celebration this evening. And those of you who I have the privilege of working with here understand that we weren't able to have our Christmas gala this last year. So we're having a modified version of that. So for those of you who are guests, after about 10 o'clock, people are going to let their hair down, so to speak. So we'll be on our best behavior, but people have been cooped up for about 14 months and need to have a little fun. So as the Presbyterians say, everything in moderation. So we might push that moderation a little bit tonight, but we'll do it. Finally, as we conclude this portion of our program this evening, we have one more gift surprise for Alice and John. Now, knowing of Alice and John's love for opera, we've invited two performers who trained at the Lyric Opera of Chicago to be a part of our program tonight. Both performers appeared here on stage as part of a cabaret program in May of 2019, and they've agreed to join us tonight, to join us in this tribute. So will you please join me in welcoming to the stage Ms. Ann Tomey, soprano, originally from Shelby Township, Michigan, and Mr. Eric Faring, tenor, a 2010 graduate of Dubuque Senior High School in Dubuque, Iowa, as they are accompanied by Professor Charles Barland and perform On Use Day by Du Bois.